Hey, William. Okay, I'm going to try to do a video on how to clean a stall so that you don't waste shavings, and you can bank using banking of the stalls, banking of the edges, to help sift through and make sure you don't miss any poops, and also so you don't waste shavings. So the goal here is to cut down on the overall costs in your barn, because shavings can cost anywhere from $5.75 a bag to $8.50 a bag. And that's a lot of salary that could be paid to somebody instead of putting it on the ground in your stalls or putting it in your manure bin. So bear with me. Haven't done this before. I mean, I've done the stalls before, but I haven't done a video before. So first you go through and you pick out all the completely unsavable parts of the stall. And this is probably the place where we waste the most shavings, because if you're in a rush, you end up thinking, I'll just take it all out, and you end up taking out more than what is technically unsavable. But in this stall, there's a lot that's very unsavable, because he's kind of a messy horse. And so this is a horse that, so here we have a question mark, right? There's some poop and there's some savable, so here we start to sift. And again, some poop, some savable, and we sift. And that is really one of the most important parts of getting the most out of the shavings that you put in your stall, is that you sift. And that is William in the background. Hi, buddy. So again, some unsavable, some savable. Sift. Sift. So those of us that grew up in the 90s as working students, which I know a lot of people will think is very young, it's still a lot older than most people that are working students right now, may or may not have had trainers running their barn that said every time they walked past the wheelbarrow that you were cleaning the stall, they would say there were too many clean shavings in the stall. And we had to stay cleaning the stall and putting fewer shavings in our wheelbarrows so that we weren't wasting money. And that's how we learned how to clean stalls. So, unsavable, unsavable. A lot of that is savable. A lot of that is savable. And it's the sifting and the shaking that I've come to realize people don't do enough of, because it takes time and it's a little bit of a pain. But as an owner of a barn that has a pretty high expense category, because our horses are well cared for, I try to keep on enough staff so that they can have a happy life and the horses get well cared for. It really makes a difference if you're putting in 6 bags of shavings per week versus 2 or 3. And what I found, which was really interesting, I found it this month. I moved my barn from Maryland to Massachusetts for the month of October, and in doing, I started doing all my stalls myself just for the month, because I only have 4 horses instead of the normal sort of 8 to 10 or 12. And I was shocked when I realized after a week I had literally only used 4 bags of shavings. And I hate to micromanage my staff, but what I realized was that my staff probably are in too much of a rush, or feel too much pressure, or have never had anyone really teach them how to work their way through a stall and do it without wasting shavings. So it's been on my mind to make this video, and I haven't even looked to see if other people have done this video. I just wanted to do it myself. It's based on how I was taught to do stalls when I was like 9 years old in a summer camp program in Massachusetts with Lainey Johnson. And we were told to bank the stalls and we were told to sift the poops, etc., etc. All right, so now I've gotten rid of all of the big, obvious piles. The next thing that will happen is I'm going to bank up the stalls and I'm going to put the shavings on the walls, and that's going to let the poops that are still in the shavings, it's going to let them roll down so I can see them and I can pick them up really easily. And as I'm banking the stalls, I'm going to discover what other wet spots there are in the stalls. And when I feel my pitchfork go into a heavy spot, then I know I have to try to sift it and get the wet out and leave the dry in. All right, so here we go. Start over here, and we just put everything that I've sifted goes back up on the wall, like that. And then I come through and I pick up the poops that are at the bottom, and then I'll probably go through it again. Like this, really quick. And I didn't hit any wet spots. And then I'll sift. And now I'll do this ball. This is where I think I'm going to hit a wet spot, so I'm going to go on top of it. Nope, that's not a wet spot. And then I go through the bottom and I sift, because the large poops will roll off the bank to the bottom edge, and the small dry stuff will stay up in the bank. And now I'm going to take this stuff and toss it on the wall, and even it out and put it on the back wall. Here we go. Toss it, watch the poops roll, pull out the edge. So I just think this is so important to have people understand how they should be cleaning a stall properly so that they can be more valuable to their employers and they can earn more money. Because if you can keep the expenses down, we can afford to pay people more. And I know that's a really big topic right now, how we can afford to pay people more. And this is one of those ways that if everyone understands how to do this part of the job properly, we can save a lot of money. So this is one of the messiest horses in my barn. He had a bag of shavings put in here, not yesterday, but the day before. And with the way I just cleaned it, I'm not going to need to put another bag in here today. Then the next step after I do my banks is I pull them down to make the floor. And this is my last opportunity to look for the occasional floating poop. And then if I had a horse that was prone to rolling a lot or getting cast, I would make these banks, I would keep them up high, more like this, which helps the horse to be able to get back up when they roll. This horse doesn't have that problem, so I just leave a small bank on the edge. And then I take it 3 feet away from the water and the grain so that the hay and the grain don't get mixed in as much as they might otherwise. And I look for any stray poops. And then I'm done, and I have used only a half of a small wheelbarrow to clean this stall.